Hi everybody. In this video, what we're going to do is use the spin modifier in order to create these interesting ceramic forms that have this gorgeous outside contour. And as a material, we'll turn it into ceramic forms and create a series, a multiple of at least three related forms here. So the interesting thing is using the Bezier curve to create this beautiful curve here. So that's a new item for you. So in Blender, let's begin by deleting the cube with the letter X and leaving the 3D cursor right here in the middle. Hit Shift A, curve instead of mesh, Bezier. And notice that it's laying down on the plane here, and what we want to do is stand it up so that it's vertical along the z-axis. So I want to rotate it along this green y-axis. So I'm going to hit R, Y, 90, enter, and then hit number 3 on your numpad and number 5, and that takes us to the right ortho perspective. Great. Next, tab over to Edit Mode, and we're going to leave this bottom point right on the z-axis like this, but the top point we're going to pull back. So I'm going to right-click on that and hit the letter G and just sort of move it freely like this. And now right-click on this bottom Bezier handle, hit the letter G and bend that in order to create a flat bottom here for your piece. And now in order to change the contour here, we can freely move this handlebar. I can also use the letter G, so I can move it this way anywhere I want. I'm going to give it a basic form like that to start. Good. Next thing, what we want to do is get our 3D cursor snapped down to this bottom point here. So I'm going to left click here and hitting number 1, checking it from the front ortho point of view, it's good. And number 3, it's good. And great. So next we have to convert this to a mesh. So head over to Object Mode, and then click Object, Convert to, Mesh from Curve. Second one here, Mesh from Curve. Great. Then tab back over to Edit Mode, and select all with the letter A. And now with the 3D cursor down here at this bottom point, we're ready to rotate it around this z-axis. So come over here to the left, we're in Edit Mode, and click Spin. And you'll say, oh my goodness, what happened there? Well, let's modify the spin over here on the left. First of all, give it 48 segments. And we want to rotate it in 360 degrees, not in 90. So enter that. And finally, we want it to ignore this center stuff here, come down to axis and turn x-axis to 0 and y and z-axis to 1. Great. Now what we've got is an extra set of vertices, which will end up being a problem when we finish this. We'll end up having a seam here. So what we want to do is remove the doubles. So come over to the left again, we're still in Edit Mode, and click Remove Doubles. And I'm sorry, let's hit A to select all, and then do that again, Remove Doubles, and there it says Remove 13 vertices. Great. So let's finish this up now. So head over to Object Mode, and first thing we'll do is thicken it. So click the wrench up here, add modifier, solidify, and dial up your thickness anywhere to 0.6, 0.06, 0.07, sort of like that. Hit apply, add another modifier, click subdivision surface, and put your subdivisions to 3. You can leave the render at 2, and then on the left come over to the shading and click smooth. Okay, smooth shading. Super. You can click apply at this point, and since it's selected, why don't we give it a material? So come over to the materials tab here, and this is a good time to change from Blender Render to Cycles Render. Click New, Diffuse BSDF, and let's see, Principled is what we're going to use, and then as a base color, I'm going to give it a Robin's Egg Blue for starters here. Very good. Next, click on the lamp in the outliner, and perhaps Spotlight, and click Use Nodes, and I'm going to leave the color white. And strength, let's start with 3000. And next we would need to add a plane. So I'm going to hit number 1 and left click beneath the pot here and Shift A. We're in object mode, by the way. It's mesh plane. Then scale it with the letter S and the number 100. Enter. All right, so let's see how things are starting to shape up here. So I'm going to come over to my viewport shading and click rendered, and it's looking pretty good. I think the world I'm going to make black for a little more drama, so I'm clicking this icon for the world, and where the color is this gray color, drag it down, create a darker world. Excellent. So I'm going to go with this. I'm very happy with the way it looks. So let's set up our camera next. So number 0 and the letter N in order to lock the camera to the view. So now we can pan and orbit, etc. So N again to get rid of the menu, and come in here so I can orbit, pan, and zoom. I'm just going to catch the top of the pot here, and if I wanted a softer shadow, I could take the lamp and where I click, lamp, properties for the lamp, the size, instead of 1/10, you could bring it up to 0.5, and that'll soften the shadow out a little bit, or even 1, enter. So experiment with that till you see a shadow that you like. And time to render. So I'm going to click the camera and bring my resolution up to 100%. I'm going to come down to sampling and put the render sampling to 250 and clamp indirect to 1. That'll eliminate the fireflies. So then hit F12 and start the render process. I'm going to pause the video here. Okay, that took 7.5 minutes, and I was using a CPU to render that. If I had chosen GPU compute, I have a faster video card. It would have sped it up probably to half that time. So, and the reason it was a fairly long render is because of the reflective material and the complexity of also using clamp indirect. But great. So what I'd like you to do next is to create 2 more forms in here. And let me pause the video again for a second. So I hit the escape button, and that brings me back to the camera view. Hit the number 0 on your numpad. Oops. to get out of the camera view and come back and come into solid mode here. And okay, so we still want our z-axis, so I'm going to move this guy over here and go back to number 3, and left click your 3D cursor, check it with number 1, number 3 to make sure it's in the middle, and then Shift A. Oops. Mesh, I'm sorry, curve bezier, and check it from number 1, yep, and we're going to rotate that again. So R, Y, 90, enter, and come over to edit mode, and this time I'm going to add an extra point in here. So I'm going to right click this top point, holding shift, I'm going to right click the bottom point so that they're both selected. Then I'm going to hit the letter W and click subdivide, and that added a new control point in here. And now we can take that point and start moving it around for some control. I can also stretch these Bezier endpoints out, and let me just do that. Bring this over because we want to have an opening for our form, and then take this control point and move it up to give it an upward slant here, and then we're going to round this out and make that a lot prettier. So zooming out a little bit, right clicking, hit the letter G on the end of this Bezier control point and give yourself a bottom. Come over to this control point and move it out. You get the idea. So we're doing what we can to create an alternate form here. Okay. I could take this one down, give it some more height, then that looks pretty good. Okay, and we could also subdivide even further between these points if you wanted to, but for now let's just work with 3 points. And so first step is to come back over to Object Mode, then click Object, convert to Mesh, and then come back to Edit Mode and hit the letter A to select all of the points, and then click Spin and come down here and set your Z to 1 and your X to 0. And when that happens, it's because I forgot to set my 3D cursor down to that bottom point. So let me undo that with Control Z and left click and check this from the point of view of number 1, front ortho number 3, and then come over and click Spin again and put Z at number 1 and X at 0. Okay, and it's the same process as before. We have to remove the doubles, so I'm going to select all, A, twice, and then click Remove Doubles over here. Remove 25 vertices, come over to Object Mode, add a modifier, and it's going to be Solidify, thickness 0.06, 0.07, apply, add another modifier, subdivision surface 3, apply, and smooth shading over on the left here. and we can bring it up to get it on top of the plane here. Add a new material, so click that, click new, principled, add a different color, perhaps this yellow porcelain could be pretty, and we'll check our rendering to see how the lighting is shaping up. Is it hitting both of these objects? No, it's missing that one. So let me go back out to solid mode here, zoom out, right click on the lamp, hit the letter R, rotate it to cover both of these guys, and let's check rendered. It's kind of pretty because it's catching this backlighting here. Let's see what it looks like through the camera. Probably want to move these together and continue along. Make 3 of these actually, and do a final render here. Let's see. So hit 0 to get out of camera mode. Come back to solid. Move this guy over here and continue the process, if you will. But if you want to render these 2 as an intermediate, that's good. So 3 pots at least, 3 colors, arrange your lighting, and great. See you on the blog.